Something was lurking beneath Picher, Oklahoma. Not a monster, but something far worse. It started deep underground, silent and invisible. The ground was being hollowed out. The air was turning toxic, and no one saw it coming. By the time the truth surfaced, it was already too late. But for Picher, one disaster wasn't enough. The first came from greed. The second came from the sky. Both would leave the town in ruins. In this video, we'll uncover how a quiet mining town became one of the most toxic places in America, and how just when it was about to disappear, nature delivered the final blow.
Northeastern Oklahoma city of Picher has seen its population go from more than 12,000 people to less than 20. The city was once home to one of the largest lead and zinc mining operations in the world. But after the EPA found lead poisoning in a large number of the city's citizens, especially children, the city was evacuated. Residents received buyouts for their homes and were relocated. The massive piles of lead and zinc.
Picher, Oklahoma, sat quietly at the crossroads of three states: Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. A small town with a big secret buried beneath its feet. Hidden underground was a fortune in lead and zinc, the metals of war, the kind you use to make bullets. And during both world wars, that's exactly what Picher did: produce ammo for the troops. The town boomed, jobs were plentiful, money flowed. On the surface, it looked like the American dream. But just below the surface, a nightmare was taking shape. To extract lead and zinc for bullet production, miners crushed raw ore into powder, then used the water and chemicals to separate out the valuable metals. What remained? Tons of finely ground limestone laced with toxic metals known as chat. No one regulated it. No one stopped it. An estimated 75 million tons of chat surrounded Picher by the time mining ended. These piles weren't just eyesores, they were literally time bombs. No one questioned it. It was just a part of life for Picher. Kids climbed the chat piles like sand dunes, their laughter echoing off mountains of waste. Families built homes in their shadows. Some even used the crushed rock to pave their driveways, fill sandboxes, or line garden beds. But what looked harmless was anything but. The chat was laced with lead, cadmium, and arsenic, a toxic cocktail of heavy metals ground so fine it became dust in the wind. It settled on skin, on clothes, on dinner plates. It crept into yards, playgrounds, and into lungs. And Picher had been breathing it in for decades. The air grew heavier, the water ran darker, and slowly the symptoms started to appear, especially in the youngest. Headaches, learning problems, and in the worst of cases, long-term neurological damage. In 1983, the EPA declared Picher part of the Tar Creek Superfund site, a federal warning sign for communities poisoned by hazardous waste. Tests revealed that nearly 40% of children had dangerous levels of lead in their blood. The damage? Often permanent. But the poisoning wasn't over, because all of this was just what happened above ground. Below Picher, the land had been hollowed out, Swiss cheesed by decades of mining. A vast web of tunnels stretched underneath the town, some no more than a few feet below the surface. In places, the ground was so unstable that a passing truck or heavy rain could trigger a collapse. And the worst part? No one could say when or where it might happen. Then came the final first blow. In 2006, a government report confirmed what many feared. Most of Picher was sitting on hollow ground. Schools, businesses, homes, all perched above unstable, mined-out voids. One shift, one collapse, that's all it would take. The town was declared uninhabitable. What followed was a slow exodus. A federal buyout offered families a way out, and one by one, they took it. They packed up their lives, said goodbye to neighbors, watched bulldozers flatten the homes they'd grown up in. By 2009, the post office officially closed its doors for good. The city government dissolved, and with that, Picher, Oklahoma officially ceased to exist. But the town wasn't done suffering yet. Before the last residents could leave, disaster struck again. On May 10th, 2008, the sky over Picher turned a strange, ominous gray. A heavy stillness gripped the air, the kind that makes animals flee and sends goosebumps down your spine. At 5:41 p.m., radar picked up a storm cell just outside the town. Minutes later, an EF4 tornado, nearly a mile wide, touched down and roared straight toward what little remained.
This is a Jefferson Trusty storm chaser. I have a large destructive tornado and on the southwest side of Joplin. Notified, large tornado on the ground doing massive damage. Large tornado, so maxi waves on the ground.
Winds ripped past 200 miles per hour. Homes were shredded. Telephone poles snapped and flew through the air like arrows. A school bus, a symbol of safety, was hurled across a field like a toy. And beneath it all, the ground shifted. Years of mining had left the earth brittle, and now it moved, groaning under the weight of the storm above. It felt like the land itself was breaking. 6 lives were lost that day. Dozens more were injured. First responders arrived to find the town already on its knees, now flattened entirely, a natural disaster crashing into an environmental one. For the final few who had held on, this was it. Not just the end of a town, but erasure. Picher wasn't abandoned, it was annihilated.
And it's sort of sad coming back here because I know a few people that lived here, and nobody lives here anymore.
How many people are here?
That's hard to say. We talked to the government, they say 9 or 10, but I believe there's a few more. So I'm gonna say probably, I don't know, 15 or